You've already been here and you've already done this multiple times. So stop acting brand new. Okay? How many times have you been in a predicament that you did not want to be in and you got yourself out of it? You trusted yourself to know the way forward. Even though it was dark, you still took the steps and your path was lit as you went. Things were revealed to you. And then you knew what to do next. You just felt what to do next. Even when you didn't fully believe it yet, you still went forward and you said, listen, I gotta do what I gotta do. And one of the things that I'm learning is when you're in survival, for me at least, I'm gonna speak for myself, that was easy. I was like, okay, yeah, here's my resources, here's what I need to do, here's my circumstances, here's what I gotta do. Okay, bing, 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 bing. But damn about anything else, I just need to get out of this. I gotta get here. And when you're thriving, you do that same thing in a different way. Because before it was about the goal is to live, the goal is to get up out of here, the goal is to make it. Versus when you're thriving, you have a long-term objective and you have goals along the way that you're aiming to hit until you hit these checkpoints, and then it just keeps evolving. And it's just like literally Mother Nature. We expand and contract. We expand and contract. But when you're surviving, it's just like, boom. It's we're looking at what is right in front of us all the time. And then we get there and then we're like, ah, oh, thank God I could chill. Versus when you're thriving, it's like it's like this little continuous effort of baby steps. Put a little effort in here, put a little effort in there, put a little effort in there. Oh, wow, big milestone. Keep putting a little effort in here, putting a little effort. Let's rest. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's balance. There's prioritization of your mental, of your emotional, of your physical, of your spiritual. And when you're surviving, it actually feels hard to prioritize all of those things. Who has time to focus on the mental, the emotional, the spiritual? Who has time for that? But when you're getting to a new space where you realize that you cannot live this life from an empty cup, you cannot continue to pour from an empty cup. Therefore, in order for you to thrive, your cup has to be full. You have to be pouring and thriving from the overflow, which means you have to learn how to consider and prioritize yourself, putting yourself first, literally and figuratively. If you don't know or learn how to do that, then what happens? We end up being in survival mode. It just ends up being this back and forth between, oh, I was doing so great and oh, I fell off. Oh, I was doing so great and oh, I fell off. Versus just being like, the falling off might mean you just need some rest. Because when we're surviving, we don't know how to rest. We know how to burn ourselves out. We know how to drive forward to the goal and then be like, oh, let me take a break for as long as I can get. Versus enjoying the process, taking a step back while you're in the process, seeing the fruits of your labor, and then you celebrate, and then you keep going. And then it's like this ebb and flow motion. You don't have to put pressure on yourself to make things happen because you know that your efforts are going to accumulate and add up into something big happening for you. It's like when you invest over time into an account and then the yield is just, 10xing or whatever. It might not look like much in the beginning, but a year from now, 6 months from now, however, even a month from now, it's going to add up to something at some point. And we're so used to getting instant gratification and results fast that that's synonymous with the survival, because we're getting somewhere and we're okay, we can chill. But then we don't realize that we're going to have to rally our resources and do all of these things all over again. And it's so much effort and it's so much work versus just consistently taking steps forward. Oh, put this in my basket. Put a little sprinkle of self-love in my basket. Put a little sprinkle of spiritual work in my basket. Put a little sprinkle of emotional check-ins. And then before you know it, you have this well-oiled machine that works for you without you having to put in all of this effort and all of this thought. When I feel myself get sad now, it's not this big dramatic event that happens. It's, oh, what's wrong? Let's check in. Something's off. Are you okay? Let's go back and see maybe what triggered it. Let's see maybe what happened these past few days. Let me look back at my journal, or let me journal. You know what I mean? You start putting things into place to actually sustain yourself. You create a structure and a foundation for yourself. Versus before, when you're in survival, you don't have structures in place. You don't have a solid foundation in place. You just have, listen, what do I got around me? Do I get up out of here? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very different. And so we need to be okay with slowing down and pausing and looking around us and seeing what it is that we would like to respond to, rather than and then you're just reacting, because the reaction isn't representative of who you are. The reaction is representative of what you've been through, versus the response is representative of who you are and where you're going. Is very different. And I'm learning myself. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a very triggering season for your girl. And you know, the other day there was a situation that was very triggering for me, and I was sent a message, and when I saw the message, I almost cried. It was like, even now I can feel it. I almost cried. I was sad. Then I was like, okay, these are my immediate reactions. So if these are my immediate reactions, and mind you, I'm still on the phone with this person as this message is coming through, so I'm trying to process in real time, but in a way where I'm still present, multitasking on another level. And so I'm internal, having this dialogue while I'm also aware of what's going on. And I'm like, okay, I'm sad, I'm getting triggered, I'm emotional, I'm gonna have to sit down with this later. And that's my way of telling myself, my inner child, I see you and I hear you, you're not forgotten. We're going to address this at a time that is appropriate, where I can give you all the attention that you need. And then in the conversation, whether or not you feel safe to do so, you can even say, hey, this is triggering for me, actually. And I would love to unpack it with you, because this is happening, you know? Or you can just keep that for yourself. But either way, you're the one that gives power to yourself in that situation. The old me probably would have just been like, yeah, I gotta go. And then I wouldn't even have really thought about it. I would have did something to distract myself, or would have just doom scrolled for hours, because that's what my body does when I'm in fight or flight. I just get on my phone and I just scroll. And then now when I'm scrolling, because I know that that's my bodily response, I stop and I'm like, what triggered me? What triggered me while I'm on this motherfucker scrolling for so long? Because I enjoy living now. Before, when I didn't enjoy living, the scrolling didn't bother me. But now that I enjoy living and I don't want to waste my time and waste my life, I'm like, what is it that triggered you to make you retreat? So knowing yourself is so important, because if you don't know yourself, you're going to continue being in an energy where you're surviving. And that surviving energy is very unconscious. It's very primal. It's very reactionary. And thriving is very present, is very conscious. It's very much, I am choosing with a sound mind. Sometimes the mind feel like it don't be too sound, but I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to respond this way. But not only am I choosing to respond this way, I'm doing so from a place where this response is prioritizing me and prioritizing my future self and where I'm going. And it's prioritizing my inner child, and I'm honoring the versions of me and showing up for me in the ways that make me feel loved and seen. I don't care about how you feel and what your reactions are. Obviously, I'm not saying be rude, but I'm saying you have to do what makes you feel loved, heard, and seen at the end of the day. Always. Otherwise, you're going to feel abandoned and rejected and neglected. And that's no bueno. So as I learn, I pass it on to you so you can learn too. We go from surviving to thriving together.